Welcome back to another episode of Looking Forward to It. It's episode 13 and it's July 31st, 2016. As you can see, we're here back in Final Fantasy XIV. We're in Quarry Mill, and you can see there's quite a few people standing around. There might be some sort of new content in the game that's now playable. We're going to talk about the Deep Dungeon a little bit later today. But the major topics for today's show are Kingsglaive, there's a new trailer. I Am Setsuna, which I got to review for the site early, a couple weeks ago. And we have a little bit of, as I mentioned before, the Deep Dungeon. We're going to talk about that. We have Michael here. He's going to share a whole bunch of impressions, because he's been in there quite a bit. So I'm joined today with Erren Van Dyne.
Hello.
We have Michael Damiani.
Hey.
And Mike D'Antoni.
Hello.
So we're going to go ahead and start off with Kingsglaive, but first I want Erren to share with you all what's been going on NovaCrystallis.com. So what's new?
So we've had kind of a busy couple of weeks with news coming out of Comic-Con, along with your review, of course. But I guess the big news is they finally set a date for Rise of the Tomb Raider for PS4. It's coming as part of an expanded definitive edition on October 11th with all the downloadable content and stuff. They also announced that Dragon Quest Builders is going to get a day one edition, and if you pre-order that, you'll get some extra things as well. And World of Final Fantasy is getting a collector's edition, which is coming out on October 25th.
Yeah, it just goes to show you, like, the rest of the year is totally stacked with just Square games alone, and we've been kind of head through, Star Ocean, I Am Setsuna, we have, Deus Ex coming late. Looks like the fall is going to be pretty stacked too.
Yep, and then they also revealed that the Kingsglaive, which we'll be talking about shortly, will be available digitally on August 30th with a Blu-ray release in October.
Well, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So Kingsglaive Final Fantasy XV is the accompanying movie to Final Fantasy XV. And so we got a new trailer at San Diego Comic-Con this last weekend or the week before. So I want to jump into impressions. What did you guys think of it? And I guess we'll start with you, Erren.
Well, it was pretty good. I actually am kind of wondering why they didn't show this sort of trailer to begin with. I think.
Or did they? With all that versus stuff.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's very clear that they took a lot of those assets and sort of repurposed them for this movie. But yeah, I mean, I have read some of the spoilers, so they in the new trailer there is a couple things that are kind of like, oh well, I'm kind of surprised they showed that. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it.
So yeah, I mean, like, that's actually one thing I noticed quite a bit of, is that there's a lot of imagery from Versus that's still in there. Like, you can see remember that trailer with Noctis when he first meets Stella in that, like, aquarium kind of.
Yeah, so there's a scene with that in the movie now, and they've replaced Noctis with the new character Nyx, who's basically, I guess, filling in that role now.
And why is that? Is it because Noctis is somewhere else, or?
Yeah, so the original plan was to have him and the rest of the characters escape from the city in the beginning of the game, but now at the beginning of the game they're actually being sent away from the city, so they won't be seeing what happens.
I know, I would have liked to escape from the city in game.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, would have liked that, but they said that they took it out because it would have taken too long to develop, and they didn't want to split it into multiple games, and so they decided on a movie.
Well, fair enough. I mean, it actually is. It kind of reminds me a bit. You know how the end of an era trailer was kind of like our opening prologue for Final Fantasy 14, and it was kind of its own standalone movie. Like we couldn't play a game at the same time. You had to wait until Realm Reborn finally relaunched, but it sort of whetted our appetite. Kingsglaive is only coming out, of course, a month before, a little bit a month before. It's already out in Japan, so definitely something that you can watch right now or soon to whet your appetite for what's in the game and kind of setting it up. So it takes place. Do I have this right? Does it take place during the events of the game or right before, or?
Well, it's actually sort of, I guess, parallel to the start of the game. So at the start of the game, you're basically leaving the city, and you eventually hear about what happens during the film. Like at some point, I think it's within the first 2 chapters or so not long. But a lot of people are saying that you should probably watch the movie if you want to get the whole picture. And I think even the movie's director came out last week and he's like, yeah, if you want to see the whole story, you're definitely gonna have to watch this movie.
So Michael, I know you haven't been like too crazy into like the Final Fantasy 15 details, but I know you saw the trailer, and I was wondering like if you had any big impressions for what this is trying to accomplish.
I really like the trailer that they put out. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I don't understand. Watching this makes me wish this was what Final Fantasy 15 was gonna be. This looks better than a lot of the stuff they put out for Final Fantasy 15 in terms of the strength of the narrative. I get this is a film, but this is the type of trailer I expected a trailer like this for Final Fantasy 15 somewhere, and all the stuff they put out doesn't come close to this. And I'm assuming 15 has a bigger budget than Kingsglaive, so you can't tell me, oh, this is a movie. Movies get bigger budgets. Well, this is an animated movie. 15's been in development for how long? I don't know. The bottom line is this it was fun to watch. I like the main character in this trailer more than I like what I've seen of Noctis, to the point that I'm like, shit, if I go watch this, I really like this character, and now I'm going to play as Noctis, and I'm going to be like, shit, I have to play as Noctis, and this other guy was like way cooler in the movie and stuff. I don't know. I just liked having such a story-intensive video presented for the 15 universe. And if it has to be the movie, and the movie's great, that's awesome. But it makes me fear more for the actual game. This looks great. Like, this looks really good. But it also makes me fear a lot for the game. And before I forget, at the 154 mark, if you want to take a second at some point to bring up the trailer, is that Ultros?
It sure is. Oh, okay. It sure is.
Okay, just making sure that I was not seeing things when I watched it, because I made a note to bring that up, and we didn't get to this till today, and I was watching it again, and I went to that spot, and I'm like, what do you mean is this Ultros? And I was like, oh, shit, yeah, that looks just like Ultros. But anyway, yeah, it looked really good.
So yeah, actually, Ultros, I believe in that, do you remember that mural that you saw at the end of episode The Sky with all of like the what are they called?
Yes.
I think he's also in there. So who knows, like he could appear in the game possibly, but I don't know, we see him in the movie. But as you were saying before, like, when I saw this trailer, I was kind of like, well, when do I get to play the Kingsglaive game? And well, I don't know, we'll see. Like if Final Fantasy 15 kind of carry that momentum too, it's kind of interesting though that the kind of tone that this movie sets up. I don't want to say it's like Versus, but I feel like the tone that it sets up is something that's kind of on its own, getting me hyped for Final Fantasy 15, which is exactly what it's supposed to do. So props to them for making a really sleek trailer that kind of really excited me. I'm sure that a lot of people that wanted to check out like the monster spoilers or whatever, I'm sure that this is something that they'll want to avoid. But Mike, like, go ahead and jump in. Like, what like, do you see any scenes in that trailer that really jump out to you, or what did you think overall?
I mean, this is like our first real look at kind of narrative about the 15 world, and it's pretty exciting. I definitely echo a lot of what Erren and other Mike said about it. Like, I was really surprised to see Ultras at the end. That was probably my biggest takeaway. I was like, wait, they're actually going to go give us some fan service in this too? Okay, I kind of dig that. But it's exciting, and there's a lot of cool stuff going on, a lot of really interesting characters, and it's just nice to see something that gives you hope again about 15.
Oh, so you'd go
Even
so
if it's
far as to say
Kingsglaive.
you have hope again.
No, not really. Well, we'll see. It's more hopeful than before. Like, I'd like to see some cool stuff that's going to be in the 15 story. Like, how far in is this going to be parallel? Like, are we actually going to see any of this? Am I going to get to fight Ultros? That's all I want right now.
Yeah, so I mean, go ahead and like expound on that. Like, why does Kingsglaive give you hope, whereas stuff up for Final Fantasy 15 up until now, why has that been, something that's given you pause?
That's pretty much what Michael was saying too. It's like, there's these characters that are like really interesting, and maybe we're all just kind of bored of the quartet so far in 15 because we've seen them for so long without actually knowing anything like really going on. But
yeah, like having been able to play a bit of 15, we've all played at least the demo. Some of us have gotten to play a little bit more at E3 and other stuff. It just feels like the tone, as you said, Tony, and the style, it feels like these two things should be flipped. I feel like Kingsglaive needs to be the video game. And this like personal story of Noctis and his four friends, 4 boyhood friends growing up, and then they're going on this road trip. That feels like it needs to be like the movie or something. I know like they're doing the Brotherhood anime already, and it kind of fits that. That's just kind of where my fears are coming from, is that this open world game is just, the open world part of it is being served or trying to serve a story that isn't very compelling right now from what I've seen. And the trailer for Kingsglaive clearly it put a face on the villain and the antagonist of the story much better than anything I've seen so far in actually 15. In 15, it's still very nebulous and ambiguous, the real threat. It's like the evil empire and stuff. And you have that in Kingsglaive trailer, but then they show like, I don't know how it was edited and stuff. You are clearly trained to see so-and-so is this bad guy. I mean, I don't know the names right now, but you can clearly see like the Emperor and this other guy with him, like whoever that guy is, like they're up to no good and stuff. In 15, they're just in every footage they presented of them that's not tied to the old Versus stuff. It's just you're being told they're bad. You're not seeing. I don't know. You're not seeing anything in the game, and in the trailer is just a short 2-minute thing where we played hours of the game, and the fact that like I played like 2 hours of the game, and I don't feel like I don't really understand the threat other than like, the Empire invaded. I found out about it in a newspaper and a phone call, and it's like, no, like and I look at the trailer, I'm like, wait, this is how the game, like, there's like a disconnect going on, and part of me just feels like they need to be flipped or something. I don't know if you agree with that, but
oh no, I totally
agree.
I was thinking the same thing, man.
Yeah, like it's like all this action stuff, and I'm like, you can just.
I want to play that. That's what I want.
Why can't this be? Yeah, exactly.
No, that's exactly like one of my biggest worries for what's going on with this expanded universe kind of deal with like the movie and the anime, is that a lot of this is being set up or diverged into these side stories where I want Final Fantasy to be like I want the game to be the full experience here. Like, I don't want this to be I gotta watch the movie first. Like, I'm gonna watch the movie of course anyway, but I guess I want people to have that full experience, that full story experience. And I guess a movie is a pretty light thing to breeze through before you start a game. Maybe even consider it like an extended opening movie. But I hope that the narrative potency is there, and what's been described to me by you and other people that have played all the stuff at E3 is that it seems kind of just like wandering along, being strung along by all of this stuff that's happening elsewhere. And I'm really worried about that because I feel that if you're gonna set a game to be like a road trip or a journey or whatever, like you need to have compelling goals to strive for. Not something that, oh, we have to go here. Well, this happened off screen. Well, now we have to go here and do some fetch quests. That's my biggest fear for how the narrative is going to transpire. So I don't know. I know that they're trying to use less cutscenes in this game, which is, either a stylistic or design choice that I support. But at the same time, you got to have some sort of narrative developing other than, hey, here's four guys, and some stuff happens in the background that they have to react to. I feel that that's worrying to me.
A lot of what I've seen of 15 so far, the game just doesn't feel it. I'm going to use the word, it looks and feels boring. It's not as exciting as the Kingsglaive trailer. And I get it. Like CG stuff, it's always easier to make it look flashy and stuff. But consider like what Noctis's skills and stuff, teleporting, like with the swords and stuff, the combat's like real time. There's just like a large disconnect going on right now between trying to achieve this open world gameplay with actually being fun and entertaining. I'm just worried that it's gonna end up being dull or something. Like I was hoping the story would kick in at some point, add some pizzazz to everything. Like, all right, I feel like motivation now. I have a driving force, but it was more curiosity of wow, I'm playing Final Fantasy 15 finally, than the story that was driving me to continue to progress through the game at that point when I played it.
It was kind of cool though, watching the guy like teleport like through the air to like this airship, and you're like,
that
man,
was cool. I like
Noctis, why can't you do that? You're just teleporting onto a friggin' like water tower and hanging there. so much more boring.
Like they could have done that if they made like set pieces instead of a seamless overworld.
I'm sure there will be set pieces. They can't do something like that and not have cool stuff to do, right?
Oh, yeah.
I hope. So I hope like the boss battles are like that. Like the Titan demo seemed to be a self-contained thing, but who knows?
Yeah, and I think obviously there was a bit of contention about how that was portrayed or whatever. Tech demo or E3 demo, stage demo, shit happens basically. But I'm worried that I over worry about this stuff. But to me, what I've seen so far is a lot of stuff that's unfinished, and I see a lot of stuff that's not really giving me a huge inclination of what is actually going on and how the game structure is coming together. And I feel that in previous Final Fantasy titles, we'd start to kind of get an idea by now, like what kind of structure we'd be seeing as far as like gameplay loops and like how you progress through the story. I understand though that there is a chapter 0, that there's some sort of prologue that is at the beginning of the game before you start the demo section where you played in chapter 1, where you're kind of like you've heard in the footage that's been all around, like you're pushing the car and you go to the gas station to get it fixed by Cindy and blah blah blah, stuff happens. So I'm kind of curious to see what kind of like opening this is gonna do to set up the story that's coming, and I hope that we can definitely get something that has some impact throughout the story that gives us the motivation for these guys to be doing what they're doing for maybe 40 to 50 hours.
It's interesting because like I think I'm on record on some of these saying that I like the anime a lot. I think like they're doing a good job with the story build, with like the world building and the characters and stuff like that. And then we see this trailer for Kingsglaive, and you're like, wow, this has a lot of really cool story elements to it, and a lot of really cool, like, I don't know, settings and stuff like that. And then we look at the game proper, and we're like, it's kind of boring. So hopefully they can translate, like, hopefully the game's not as mundane as it seems, because clearly they know what they want to do with this world. They clearly know how to tell the story they want to tell. You just gotta hope that through all the years of it being in like development hell, it hasn't been hacked to crap, and I don't know, it comes out like a mangled
which tends
mess.
to happen. It
really could.
Yeah. So Erren, I want to have you jump in on this because, do you think that we're just all of us are just over worrying just because we've had so much emotional stake, or maybe not even emotional stake, just we've been around for 10 years. We've been around the block on this game. We're expecting this to come out and, blow all of us away, but then, the last couple of years we've kind of, taken a step back and, we've kind of tempered our expectations a little bit as opposed to others who may be expressing more or less enthusiasm. And it's kind of like I'm at a place now where I feel like I'm just watching this game come together, and I'm watching this project, this world, this universe, this, what do you call it? This multi, what do they call it when you have like a game and a movie and like a universe or whatever. When I'm watching it all together and come together, do you think that this game is coming together in a cohesive way? Do you feel that this movie and the Brotherhood anime, and even other stuff like this mini game that you can get at GameStop, do you feel like that's all kind of coming together in a reasonable way? Like, are you excited for these individual pieces that set up 15?
Well, I think, like you guys said, like there's definitely reasons to be concerned. And when they first announced that they were making all these different little things for the game, my first thought was, well, this doesn't actually seem very cohesive, because even though they don't, you're probably like, we're definitely gonna have to watch the movie to get the story on that, and then the anime has all these little character interactions that probably won't be in the game either. So like having to watch all these different extra things just to get the whole picture in the game is kind of the same problem that Final Fantasy 13 had, where it made you read some text to, get the whole picture. And then they had those side novels that had a little bit more. And I feel like they're sort of, I don't know, like repeating history with that sort of thing. And even like the compilation of Final Fantasy 7, which, has some good stuff and had some not so good stuff.
Do you think that, I mean, what did you think that went right and went wrong in the compilation of Final Fantasy 7? And it seems like Square, like, they really like trying to do this kind of universe kind of stuff now. What do you think they got right in the compilation of 7, and what do you think that they got wrong?
Well, I think as far as what they got right was the novels that they did were actually pretty good. They were actually really well done, and even like Crisis Core was pretty decent as a prequel title, and the movie wasn't terrible either, I guess. But then some of the other games they did, like Dirge of Cerberus, that was a little unnecessary, and it wasn't very good.
Yeah. I can attest to that.
Yeah, and they had what, like a couple mobile games as well that never came out here. But it just, I don't know, I feel like because there was never like such a the concept of making different sequels and prequels and stuff was never planned out from the beginning for Final Fantasy 7. It just, like, after a while, like once they got past like the first couple entries in the compilation, it's like, okay, well, maybe you guys just need to not do this.
Yeah, maybe 7 could take a breather for about 10 years until we decide to completely remake it.
And that's sort of how I feel about the Final Fantasy 15 universe. It's like, okay, you've got the game itself, you have a movie, you have an anime, you have 2 other games, and I wouldn't be surprised if they come out with some novels and some other stuff. And it's like, well, now I just feel kind of overwhelmed, because everything, like we said earlier, that they've shown for the game doesn't really give me confidence that I can see the whole experience by just playing the game by itself.
So, Michael, do you think that Final Fantasy 15 being a good quality game, at least, do you think all of the success of this side stuff is contingent upon that? Like, does Final Fantasy 15 have to blow people out of the water for people to like or go flock and see Kingsglaive or buy Kingsglaive? or watch
I
the
mean,
anime or the side stuff, or do you think that you know doesn't matter and you can take pieces of what you like out of it?
um, if unless I'm wrong, I thought the anime will be finished and Kingsglaive will be available to get if you don't want to wait till for your pre-ordered version that comes with your pre-ordered version. You can basically see Kingsglaive not just in theaters, but you can buy it digitally, I think. And all the anime episodes should be finished before you ever play 15, correct?
Right.
Am I wrong about that?
Yeah, all of this
I think
stuff will
that's
come
right.
out before.
Yeah, I get. Sorry to cut you off. The simple answer is just I think you can totally enjoy Kingsglaive, and I actually not saying judging 15 obviously yet, but if 15 somehow turns out to not be good or well received, Kingsglaive could totally be a very good movie and well received, and I don't think it's gonna like Kingsglaive's gonna suffer at all because 15 wasn't successful. If anything, it's gonna get people talking about what we just finished having, like, the 20-minute discussion on of, why didn't they look more at this? Why did they break up all this? Going back to like Aaron's previous answer on like the compilation and what they're doing with this franchising of Final Fantasy 15. I think it can only hurt it. It's a gamble. Square Enix is rolling the dice in that all this other stuff, it's cushioning. One, it can cushion the blow from 15, but let's be real, like 15, how long it's been development, how much is writing on it? Nothing. No matter how well the movie and anime are received, it's not gonna save 15's reputation if it doesn't wow critics and sell a ton of copies. But I mean, that's the thing. I think they built out all of these other components because they wanted to make this as big of a spectacle as possible, just to get as many eyeballs out there on 15 content, just to hopefully lure them in and be like, "Hey, did you like the movie?" I think if people like Kingsglaive, it might shift a little bit of the opinion and tone on 15's discussion. Like, it will probably shift to being more positive. Like, "Hey, this movie is pretty good." Like, and this is some of the story elements that's going to be in 15. I'm more excited for this now. I'm actually looking forward to it. And I'm going to get to check it out. What are the other stuff? All this other supplementary story stuff I want to check out. I think it could help out a lot. And I think that's the gamble Square Enix has taken, or that's the net they've tried to cast in trying to catch as many people with all these things coming out. But the gamble part of it is focusing on all this stuff so spread out. Did they spread themselves too thin, perhaps, that the game is gonna did the game suffer from any of this? If the game doesn't turn out to be so good in the end, are people gonna point fingers at, why did you spend all this time on this other stuff when you could have been putting resources, like, why didn't you rework Kingsglaive content into the actual game to strengthen it, what it had to offer?
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, we'll see how like Final Fantasy 15 has yet to unfold itself as far as the story goes or what they're setting up here. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be, for me, it's crucial that they get all of these elements right. And I just hope that by taking whatever Kingsglaive is and or taking whatever was interesting about Final Fantasy 15 and putting that in the movie and having that serve as a backdrop to everything, I just hope that Final Fantasy 15 isn't like, okay, well, here's the side game for the Kingsglaive movie. So
Yeah, like when they first revealed that they were gonna change how the game opens and stuff last year, I was thinking, well, I don't know, like I felt really kind of hesitant about it, like because the original concept sounded a lot like Final Fantasy VII's Escape from Midgar, and you could sort of see that in the trailer for Kingsglaive. It's basically them trying to get out of the city, and that was going to be playable, and I guess they just didn't want to do it, so they put it into the movie instead. And like I get that, like they wanted to get the game out as soon as possible, but at the same time, like you said, I really hope that the game's narrative doesn't suffer because of it. And like it's hard to make a judgment on that right now because they just keep showing us the same things in the game. I feel like it's like, oh, here's some new screenshots, but they're in the same area that you've seen forever.
And they've been from like a build that's from 6 months ago that you can't really,
Yeah, and E3 came along, and a lot of people expected like an actual story trailer or something with narrative exposition, and we didn't get it. And so now Gamescom is coming up in August, and people are expecting a big story trailer. It's probably going to be the last big, I guess, English showing for the game before launch. And if they don't have a story trailer, well, I think that'll be a big deal.
Yeah, I think they're really going to have to. I mean, the big guns are going to come out between now and launch. We also have Tokyo Game Show too, which I'm sure we'll probably have something pretty big to show off too. And that's. Do you remember what dates that is exactly?
It's in the middle of September. I don't know the exact dates, but it's like
pretty important to Square though, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Tokyo Game Show and Gamescom are pretty much the last two big places for them to show the game, and I feel like if they don't give us, I guess, something really substantial, then I'm gonna start really questioning what they're doing.
So I guess like just to sum kind of our conversation up a bit, lots of positive opinions about the Kingsglaive trailer. Everyone here is really excited to see it, I assume, right?
Yeah, I mean the movie looks great, and like we said earlier, it's basically the culmination of all those Versus 13 trailers that people were pining after all the years. So to finally see those actually come out, I mean, definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, it definitely looks really good. I'm just, actually, I have the trailer up as we're talking here, and just some of the scenes that really stood out to me the most were, I guess, one of the characters using like it looks like a protect spell to like shield themselves from bullets, and I think the way it looks is like really kind of cool and interesting. It reminds me a little bit of the end of an era and how they used a similar kind of spell, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, a lot of these shots here, like of this citadel, yeah, giving me major Versus vibes, which is pretty cool. I always felt like I could leave Versus in the past, but to see some of those shots again, to see some of that being brought in and not entirely forgotten is pretty cool. A little bit nostalgic too. So I mean, it is 10 years ago now that all this came out. So Michael and Mike, any last thoughts for Kingsglaive? Super excited to see it. Is it going to play near you guys at all?
Yeah, real quick. I asked Erren posted a photo for us of like at it. I maybe I misunderstood what Erren said, but I relayed the message to some friends about the lack of LA screenings, and someone immediately went on their site, their theater search, and was like, "What are you talking about? It's playing at this theater in LA, and this theater in LA, and this theater in LA. Like, stop fear mongering." I was like, "Oh, whoops." It's like I must have read something wrong.
I think it was just a preliminary list. I think they said they were going to add more to it.
Yeah, I think they have updated it just recently too. So.
I think there's a theater tracker tool where you can type in your zip code.
Oh wow!
Your screening.
Shame on you for not keeping up to date every second.
Oh, that must be new then, because the last time I checked it, they just had like a basic list.
I'm trying to remember when I talked about this. It was like in the last 2-3 days, I think.
I know they recently updated it.
Yeah, they've updated it twice, I think.
Yeah, there's a theater in Santa Monica that's showing it, and there's a theater in Culver City. So everyone was like, "Stop freaking out! It's showing off here." And I was like, kind of weird that there wasn't an LA theater. But anyway, yeah, just definitely gonna go see it, and we're gonna try and organize a group to go see it and have a discussion and stuff about it afterwards. So
maybe
that should be interesting.
Maybe an Easy Ally showing, or I don't know.
Yeah. We're trying to tell people that we're gonna go see it at a certain theater on a certain day, and ask people they want to show up and watch it with us, and we'll hang out afterwards and
that's cool.
Talk about it.
That should be pretty fun. Yeah, definitely. If you're in the town, if you're near Michael's vicinity, and you're going to the Santa Monica one, you think?
Somewhere in the LA area. It'll
Okay.
definitely be in LA. So we're not going to Orange County. So
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
Orange County, it's like an hour away from the
Hmm.
theaters we'll probably be seeing it at.
Well, lucky you, because unfortunately for me, I'm nowhere near any possible showing of this. So I live in northern Minnesota, so my chances for seeing this in a theater are pretty slim. What about you, Aaron? Anything near you?
No, not really. I mean, not unless I want to go up to Chicago, but it's not gonna happen.
Is it playing in Chicago?
According to the website, it is.
Hmm. And then Mike, are you in any
I
luck
mean,
whatsoever?
Living in New Jersey is really good because New York is right there. So yeah,
Oh,
I think
man.
there's a couple showings.
Well, we are
I
gonna
mean,
have
it's
to pull
it's
you
a trek,
in.
but
Well, I mean, yeah, and all that traffic too, I would assume is going to be a nightmare because I've been out that way and I almost had a heart attack with that traffic. But yeah, it's only because I'm small town, so. So yeah, you guys enjoy Kingsglaive, seeing it in theaters while, I'll sit at home and pout.
It's
you just wait for the DVD release, right?
Yeah.
on Fandango and it's on AMC theaters right now, but they don't have any actual details about the showings yet. It says the August 19th release date, but there is like no information. Even when you try and type in a zip code. Just interesting tidbit. My time at Funimation and seeing how they handle theatrical releases and stuff. How you usually work with an outside company to set up all like the movie distribution stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting to see the clusterfuck of screening stuff that goes down. Like stuff will never be consistent. In fact, like just experienced it firsthand going to Fathom event on this past Monday to go see The Killing Joke in theaters at our local AMC theater here, and they were supposed to start at 7, and then they were screwed up some detail, and they started another 30-minute pre-show at 7, and everyone's like, wait, what? We just waited for 30 minutes. And my friend texted somebody who saw an earlier showing, and they're like, yep, they did this to us too. We had like the stupid 30-minute countdown until the show time, and then they did another 30-minute thing. But someone actually went and complained, I guess, and they weren't supposed to do that. They're supposed to go right into a Mark Hamill interview. So it sounded like that's not what Warner Brothers Animation wanted people to do, to wait another 30 minutes. They wanted the interview to start then. So similar stuff kind of happened I heard about Funimation. There was a funny subtitle incident where a subtitle froze on a certain phrase during one of the Attack on Titan live action films.
Oh.
And people were tweeting that line over and over as a meme the rest of the day because it happened at a few theaters in like the Bay Area, I think. Anyway, yeah, I get how this information, it kind of sucks how there's more info that you could, if you dig around, you could probably find, but it's just how it is with these small limited releases. It's you just gotta like keep your ear to the ground and like hope. So don't give up hope yet, Tony. There might be, you never know.
Well, I think my closest shot is Minneapolis, St. Paul, which is about 200 miles away from me. So it's about a 3-hour drive.
Oh boy.
Mm-hmm. Well, if I can get the gang to come see it with me, then it'll be worth it. So.
Well, lucky for you, digital and streaming on August 30th. So that's all.
Yeah, I mean, even if I can't see it in the theater, it's not like the wait to see it at home is that much longer. So.
Right. Yeah. So it's not that
I
bad.
don't know. I kind of like the theater going experience. I know not everyone does, but I mean, you got to have the right circumstances, of course.
we tend to go quite often, so I can definitely understand.
Yeah, it seems like you and Jared go almost every week now. Like, you always seem gone to the movies. What did you see this weekend?
We saw the new Jason Bourne movie.
Oh, is that the 7th one now?
No, it's actually the 5th one.
I was gonna say
5th one.
think
Okay.
5th, yeah.
Sorry.
I had to think about it for a second because they did 3. They did a trilogy, then they did like a sort of spin-off, but not really, and then the new one.
Yeah, I'll have to get caught up on that one day. I'll have to marathon like all of them in one day or something. That's the only way I'll be able to get caught up. So, I want to ask you guys a question about a game you may or may not have played. Have you guys ever played Chrono Trigger? And the answer cannot be anything other than no.
What's Chrono Trigger?
So the answer is yes. And on our recent Easy Allies podcast, I told everyone that I could just stomach the art style, Toriyama's art style in Chrono Trigger,
Wow, come on, man.
So
whereas I couldn't stand his art style in like Dragon Ball and stuff. Like I'm not a fan. I'm not a Toriyama art fan. So like the subject of Chrono Trigger came up immediately after that remark. But Dragon Quest. It started with Dragon Quest. I said one of the reasons I don't like Dragon Quest. There's a multitude of reasons. I've enjoyed one of the older ones that was remade for Game Boy Advance or DS. One of the classic ones, just because I wanted a classic JRPG. And I see why 9 is so well liked and was well received, but Dragon Quest games aren't for me, and art style is one of them.
So I guess Erren might have a rebuttal to that.
I was gonna say, Erren's right there, right?
Well, okay, so I actually responded to that earlier because I was listening to the podcast, and I actually kind of agree because Toriyama's art style has definitely gotten worse over the years. I feel he was pretty good in the 90s, like the early to mid 90s, but I don't know. There's something about his modern style that just like in the past he had a problem where a lot of his characters look the same, but now it's like to the extreme that happens, and I don't know. There's just something about the style nowadays that I really don't like.
Well, it's a good thing that Chrono Trigger had sprite graphics then.
Well, I mean, Chrono Trigger was still done in like his, I don't know.
Yeah.
Early days, I guess.
I know.
His 90s era of drawing style, and it looks pretty good, I think, still today. But like all of his Dragon Quest characters just feel the same. I don't know.
Well, if you don't like his style now, you don't have to worry about that at all, because in the game we're going to talk about now, and it's a game called I Am Setsuna, there is absolutely no Akira Toriyama whatsoever. However, it is a game that is directly inspired by Chrono Trigger, that originally released on the Super Nintendo, 1993? A long time ago now, 1993, 4, 5. Been something almost 20 odd years now since the original Chrono Trigger came out. And this game is made by Tokyo RPG Factory, which is a studio newly founded that really loves those classic RPGs, and they want to make some of their own. And this game is directly inspired by Chrono Trigger, and it features quite a lot of stuff that's from Chrono Trigger, but kind of has its own unique spin on things. So we reviewed this a couple weeks ago for the site. I reviewed it, and I really had a lot of fun with it. I don't know if you guys have seen quite too much of it. We've had some videos on the site and our YouTube channel as well. How much do you guys know about this game? It's kind of didn't get the most PR and stuff. Obviously, it's a smaller budget title, but what do you guys see when you see I Am Setsuna compared to like the Chrono Trigger of yore?
I mean, is it my first question to you, Tony?
Yeah.
Is it more than just the superficial appearance of the battle system, or like the combat with the X/ and stuff like that, or does it go a little bit deeper? Because most of the actual reviews and people who played it said the Chrono Trigger comparison's a little unfair and a little too shallow or superficial. Like it's just a attention grabbing phrase people are throwing out there to get people to pay attention to I Am Setsuna. So do you agree with that it is pretty similar to Chrono Trigger, or do you think that they're far enough apart that it was just like a shallow, superficial comparison people were drawing initially?
I would say that on the base level of it's pretty much exactly the same as Chrono Trigger. However, the Setsuna system that they add on top of this, it feels like these are people who play Chrono Trigger, who love Chrono Trigger, and want to play around with it a lot. And if you don't know what the Setsuna system is, so in the game you have your HP, MP, your ATB bar, and basically your ATB bar is your time gauge, and when it fills up, you can execute an action. And if you let 1 or 2 or 3 of them fill up, you can execute, combo maneuvers between characters, and they're called dual and triple text in the original Chrono Trigger. And that functions the same in Setsuna. But what changes here is that when you let your ATB gauge fill all the way to the top, then the Setsuna gauge starts filling up. And what this does is if you let it fill, it'll accrue a node of up to 3 nodes, and you can use these nodes to add modifiers to your attacks, your dual text and triple text. So if, for example, like if I were to use Cyclone, which is like a area of effect attack, if I were to use a Setsuna point, I would add an additional hit to it. And there are each attack, each tech has its own Setsuna effect, and using these becomes kind of like a pivotal point to the battle system. It's kind of what the battle system is based around. So yes, it does use Chrono Trigger's battle system as kind of a base, but I feel that the Setsuna system added on top of that, as well as like the combat ecosystem, it's familiar, but it doesn't get boring, which is actually fine by me because the game's length in and of itself is it's going to take you around 20 to 30 hours to beat, so it's not the typical length. We're expecting like 40 to 60 hours or somewhere. This game, it keeps it pretty lean and keeps it going, and so it's 20 to 30 hours. And with the amount of finagling that you can do with like equipping accessories and stuff that modify your abilities and whatnot, I feel like it's familiar, but it doesn't get boring. So yeah, to answer your question, it's familiar, but I feel like it is what it is. It's a throwback. Like, you're getting Chrono Trigger here, but you are also getting. I feel like there's a satisfying layer added on top of this. So yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit actually. I feel like if this had been a longer game, like 40 to 60, then yeah, it would get pretty, repetitive and tedious. One other thing I wanted to add that was pretty cool is the abilities that you get. They can be actually customized to have modifiers to them too, in addition to like the Setsuna system. And the Setsuna, what you do is once it fills up to max, and you get a Setsuna node or whatever you call it, SP node, how you activate them is a timed hit. So think something similar to like Squall's Gunblade in Final Fantasy VIII, or like a timed hit like in Super Mario RPG, something like that. So not something that's obviously groundbreaking or revolutionary, but I feel it's just adds a bit of layer that, like I said before, it feels like these people really love Chrono Trigger and they added something that's, not entirely different, but adds kind of adds layers on top of the original battle system that feels satisfying.
Okay.
So yeah, that was probably an answer and a half, but I really did enjoy it. So Mike, what about you? Do you have any burning questions for what to expect out of this game?
So my main thing is like I heard it was kind of short, or on the shorter side of like a JRPG, and I guess my main question now to you is like so if they wanted to set out to make like an old school feel JRPG, do you think they kind of succeeded in that, or maybe not so much, or?
I definitely think they did. Yeah, I know I mentioned this before, but yeah, you're gonna run into about 20 to 30 hours for the main story. What's nice about it is that it keeps it pretty lean. Like, you're not gonna be wandering around. Like, a lot of games, even Final Fantasy games are guilty of this, where in the last maybe 3/4 of it, it starts to drag around and they keep they may drag you around to these random places that don't really have the the biggest story tie or drive for you to go there. And like Chrono Trigger, this game kind of cuts the fat towards the end. Like, there's no Bravely Default. You have to like redo the entire game 3 times to get the best ending.
Spoilers.
So no, I think by now the statute of limitations are up on Bravely Default. And while I enjoyed that game, that was definitely one of those things I
Probably
really
not a
was like,
highlight of that game now.
no, yeah, you're definitely right. So, yeah, I am Setsuna. It doesn't mess around with that stuff. So, I do want to say though that even though if you complete the 20 to 30 hour main campaign, there is about 10 to 20 hours of kind of side stuff. I haven't explored all of it yet, but there's a side quest to get a really good ability. There's a side quest there's some places that you can go to that are kind of like boss gauntlets. And so
I do like that actually.
yeah, and they're actually pretty friggin' hard. Like, even by the time I had beat the final boss and I went back and did those, I was kind of getting my ass kicked. Like, I had to, like, I can already see like the planning that I'm gonna have to do to like, collect all of these sprint knights, which are abilities in this game, and then the talismans, which are like accessories, and having to basically stack a bunch of modifiers on abilities, customize them so that I don't get like one shot by some of these bosses. So that's the kind of thinking that's going to go into some of this post-game stuff. But I imagine, you're going to get about 10 to 20 hours out of it. So, I mean, for a $40 price tag, that's fine by me. I feel that that's reasonable. I think, maybe people would have taken pause to say, hey, maybe this isn't worth 60. But I feel that, for $40, the game has a modest budget, and I feel that it does the best it can with it. So I feel that people will be satisfied with it. I know that a lot of the reviews were a bit harsher than my review is a bit. I really liked it more than others. I think. I didn't read too much into other people's reviews, but I know that like RPG Site, for example, gave it a pretty positive review, and then there were some other sites that didn't give it quite a positive review. They saw the game as very derivative, I guess, of Chrono Trigger, which I mean I get. But at the same time, it's like if you were expecting something wholly new, this probably isn't your type of game. But if you want something, if you want something that you love Chrono Trigger and you'd like to see something that you'd like to play something that's kind of a spin on that formula and adds something fun to play around with, like with regards to the battle system. You're gonna have fun with playing around with that and their little spin on it. The story and characters, and I want to circle around to Erren and her, maybe if she had any questions. I know that she had asked me earlier when I was reviewing about the characters in the story. So, did you have any specific questions about that?
Yeah, could you maybe, I guess I've been hearing that there's actually a lot of similarities in the story, not maybe with, just Chrono Trigger, but also Final Fantasy X. Could you maybe talk about that?
Yeah, I think a lot of people in who've played Final Fantasy X are going to see a lot of fun things that because the story is set up as somewhat similar, and I'll explain. Basically, Setsuna is a girl that is basically preparing to sacrifice herself in a place called the Last Lands, so that the monster hordes don't destroy what's left of humanity, and there's not very much of humanity left. And so, obviously, this important sacrifice, it's not all is as it seems, and I don't want to say. The only thing I'm going to say is that it doesn't play out exactly like Final Fantasy X. There are some parallels, but the characters, I think some of the characters, I would say Meter, for one example, is probably going to smack a lot of people of Erren, for example. But the characters are actually quite different. Obviously the story. There are some similar themes, of course, to Final Fantasy X in a way that we learn that Yuna has to make a sacrifice. Eventually during her pilgrimage, we learn about that, earlier on, like right at the beginning of the game. And I just want to say I really love like the opening where basically Ender, who is the silent protagonist, he's basically given the mission to kill Setsuna and kind of set off on this very somber quest. And you eventually meet Setsuna, and she's like, well, yeah, you may be here to kill me, but I have this thing I have to do, and it's important to everyone in the world. Can't you see that? So maybe if you just come along with me and see it through to the end, you'll fulfill your mission of killing me, and I can fulfill my mission of making this sacrifice to save humanity. And that's how it ends up. And that's how the story that's not how it ends up, but that's how the story starts. And I felt that I really enjoyed that conflict where and that actually starts playing in with other characters too. Like how does this conflict play in with them, and how this story beats set themselves up. And while the story is familiar, I feel like the characters themselves are not entirely, the most original thing, but the way that they were able to pull it together, I felt was very heartfelt in a way. The only thing I'm going to say is that I really enjoyed the ending, and for those people who have seen it and have played through it, I've had some interesting conversations with them, and by the end, I felt it was a heartfelt story, and even though a lot of stuff felt maybe you could say derivative, I felt it was pulled off in a way that I really enjoyed. And if that speaks, for simplicity, then I'm glad that I enjoyed it. Then
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with simplicity, and I'm actually really interested in seeing the story for myself.
yeah, I would highly recommend it. And thankfully, we've got a bunch of games coming out, especially like Final Fantasy 15 and World of Final Fantasy, which boast huge playtimes, like anywhere from 40 to 60 to 100 hours. Setsuna, I feel like, is something that you can knock out in a weekend for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. I feel like, the 20 to 25 hour length is actually kind of a sweet spot, especially being so busy nowadays. So I definitely don't see that as a negative thing at all.
Did you change your character's name?
I did not. I'm such a purist when it comes to that kind of stuff. Like whenever an RPG asks me to change the name of a character, I either go with the default, or maybe if I'm streaming I'll take suggestions, but I don't know. Maybe you call me boring, and I may be very boring, but I never really changed the name. But do you?
I was just laughing when someone first told me that in the game called I Am Setsuna, where you can change your character name.
Change everyone's name to Setsuna, maybe.
A very
Yeah,
literal title.
change your main character's name to something else, so you're not Setsuna. So it's like, I am not Setsuna. I didn't know if there were any. Also, I didn't know if there were any cool Easter eggs if you named your character a certain thing. Some games that let you name your character if you enter a specific name. It'll do something like
like
a
Undertale,
jingle,
for example. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think the first. I mean, everyone knows Zelda 1. If you put your name Zelda, you get the second quest. But like later ones, it would change the titles or the file select music and stuff. So I didn't know if that's gonna continue that tradition.
As far as I know, there's nothing like that. But I'm kind of curious to see if the game has any secrets that I haven't figured out yet, because as far as I know, there aren't any big secrets in this game. We'll see. I'll have to do more research into that, and definitely let us know whatever you find in the comments. So yeah, Setsuna was a game I really enjoyed, and just to wrap up, I feel that there was a lot of criticism about, maybe the game being a bit shorter, being a bit derivative. All I would say is that I would definitely try it out for myself. Maybe to you, maybe it's not worth that $40, but if you've been looking for something that really scratches a classic RPG itch, that I feel like this game is definitely up your alley. And another thing I want to mention is that a lot of people were like, "Hey," a question they had, like, "Is this entirely set in winter?" And if you feel like this is a spoiler for you, then I would go ahead and skip forward a couple minutes. But predominantly, predominantly this game takes place in a winter setting, and a lot of people found that kind of an interesting design choice. I personally really liked it, and I felt, and it's something that I pointed out in my review too. Like in so many RPGs, you have like the obligatory desert, you have the obligatory jungle, you have all that stuff, and I felt like for Setsuna to have in a completely winter setting like it does, I felt was like a really interesting choice. I really liked it actually, and maybe I'm a bit biased because I come from a very snowy area of the world, um, where we're very acclimated to long winters, but especially during the hot summer, I found it kind of nice reprieve to have a very somber, quiet, uh, winter setting, and the soundtrack backs that up too. It's predominantly piano. All of the songs are pretty much have the piano as the lead instrument. Battle tracks have like a percussion, but it's always kind of backing up the piano. Which, I always thought, I thought it was really cool going. I really love the soundtrack too. It's Tomoki Miyoshi, I believe. Some of the songs in it really just, and when there are certain cutscenes, like, yeah, maybe something is familiar, but during some scenes when some themes play, especially towards the end, I'll admit I did get a little misty. So if you're big on story, know that it's a bit derivative, it's a bit familiar, but at the same time, I think it's also good. So I would definitely recommend it.
Nice.
So I guess our viewership would probably like to know what all of these people are doing standing around in Idleshire. So Mike, what's the deal?
Idleshire.
Or not
This is
Idleshire.
Quarry Mill. Have
Quarry
you
Mill.
been
I'm
in
sorry. See,
14
well,
before?
hey,
Idleshire changed a lot.
well, I mean, we could talk about Idleshire too, but excuse the faux pas there, but yes, we are in Quarry Mill, and I'm looking back to my screen now. We got a lot of people standing around here. What are they all doing, Michael?
They are queuing up to go into the Palace of the Dead, new
That's
50-floor dungeon that is, the layouts are randomly generated, and you fight ever increasingly more difficult enemies as you progress through each floor while trying to amass treasure, which gives you items that can give you temporary a boost or buffs, and other cool effects, and also avoiding traps. Every one of the 50 floors, there are traps that you can step on and trigger the effect, ranging from turning yourself into a toad to luring a bunch of enemies, which
To literally exploding. Right,
Yeah.
Krim? Right?
right. Well, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I love jumping in all the traps.
You sure do. You sure do.
I love the silver chest ones. Those are the best, especially if you get like
Mm-mm.
6 silver chests in a row, to try and upgrade your gear, and it says unchanged, and then the 7th one blows up in your face.
Blows up right in your face.
Back up real quick. So the treasure you're finding, there are 3 types of chests. Well, we should back up even further. It's 50-floor dungeon, which I said. It's broken up into 5 10-floor segments. It's actually 9 floors and a boss. And if you make it through without everyone dying and beat the boss, you get to leave the dungeon instance. You save your progress. You have 2 save files, and then you can jump into the next tier, the next set of 10 floors. The only thing that would withhold you from doing that is if you have special gear when you're in there. You wear whatever you bring in, whatever you're wearing is what you'll look like when you go into the dungeon, but your character menu doesn't exist in there in the same way it does in regular PvE. It's a custom menu with a nice like throwback Super Nintendo looking sprite of your job class, and then you have your arm stats and your gear stats, so your weapon and your defensive gear, and you can improve them by finding these silver chests that can give you anywhere from like +1 to, I've seen maybe +3 or +4 on a single one. I don't know what the limit is. And the only thing that can hold you back from progressing to the next set of floors is if your total combined gear level is too low. It'll actually send you back. So
Okay.
Yeah, but there are 3 types of chests. The bronze are the basic ones, which give you potions, basically. So you can spam potions to heal yourself. Because the makeup there's no rules for the makeup of your party. It's a 4-person instance. You could end up with I haven't seen it, but I think it's theoretically possible to end up with like 4 healers, 4 DPS, or 4 tanks. There's no like it requires 1 healer, 1 tank, and 2 DPS or anything like that. I've seen all sorts of formations aside from 4 of the same types of category.
Well, I mean, speaking of requirements, I have a video playing of us playing earlier last week. Me, Erren, and Mike, and one of our friends, our cohorts, we're going through the first 20 floors of it. But for those of us who haven't really been into Final Fantasy 14 quite a bit, or maybe like you're just starting, like, do I have to do all of the story? Do I have to do what are the requirements for me to be able to do this content?
You just need to be level 17, and you need to have finished the dungeon Copperbell Mines, the original one, not the hard mode. If you meet those 2 requirements, you could start the quest in New Gridania and the Adventurers Guild. And it's a really short quest. You just go talk to an NPC in South Shroud, and then you end up in Quarry Mill, where we are now, and you unlock this NPC below us, this NPC below us unlocks Palace of the Dead for you. You do not need Heaven's Ward to play this, although if you do not have access to the Heaven's Ward expansion, you can only play up to floor 40. You cannot play up to floor 50.
Oh, really? Well, so I assume then you can't play Dark Knight, Machinist, or Astrologian in there either.
If you don't have Heaven's Ward, no, you can't, because you don't have those jobs unlocked.
Ah, well, that makes sense, I guess. So, you can choose between. Well, you start a job at level 1, right? When you go in there. So.
Thank you, Tony. Yeah, it was probably the most important part about Palace of the Dead. It has an independent leveling system, as it will remind you when you start the instance. You start at level 1 when you start on floor 1, which means all of your high-level abilities are grayed out and will not work. So you have to level up with your party, or if you want to go by yourself, by killing enemies and earning experience. It is on a much faster, or it's on a higher accelerated rate than the regular PvE.
Mm-hmm.
You will probably be around 20 something when you finish the first 10 floors. And then every 10 floors after that, you'll be anywhere from 10 to 15 levels you'll level up when you're at the group of 4. So you will re-unlock your abilities. It is important though I've seen it happen to some people. They don't equip their soul gem before going in. Some people do it on purpose because they want access to raise as a cross-class skill because of the stuff that can go wrong in there. Whatever you have equipped on outside is what your job status will be when you go into it. So it is also another way you do get experience at the end for your character outside of the instance. So your normal world character can get experience if they're below level 60. So some people are doing it as a means to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, doing the dungeon to complete the Palace of the Dead for its own rewards, but also to get experience to level up an all class perhaps.
And you mentioned a save point system too. So what's that all about, and what kind of restrictions go with that? Like if I want to go in alone or with a party, how does that work?
Gotcha. It might seem a little bit confusing at first, but basically there's 2 ways to go into Palace of the Dead. You can go in as a mixed party setting, which is basically just like activating Duty Finder. It will randomly pair you with 3 other people every 10 floors. And you don't know who you're going to get. You don't know what the makeup of your party is going to be, but you can go in at any time once you complete. So it's probably the most popular option right now. I think people are a little bit weary about it at first because no one knew how difficult Palace of the Dead was going to be. And then there's the other option, the fixed option, which lets you go in with anywhere from 1 to 4 people. But if you save progress with that, you can only re-enter with the same people. If you try and break that, you will get sent back to level floor 1. So but But what it does is it lets you carry over your items. So as I said, there are treasure chests in each floor. They give you items that can be used as buffs and other cool effects. If you're doing the mix, the random people, once, like when you kill the boss on floor 10, when you start floor 11, your inventory is completely wiped out. And this is a shared inventory. All 4 players share the same inventory box. Not every item you use affects every player. A lot of them are strictly individual use, but the inventory amount is strictly tied to the 4 players, so don't make that mistake. But with a fixed party, that inventory will carry over between each set of floors. So if you saved up a bunch of this defensive buff steel and you maxed out on 3 and no one used any on the 10th floor boss and you were in the random group, you lose all of those when you go to floor 11. But if you're with your friends and you come back together and you start the next set, you still have those items. So it's more advantageous to have a fixed group if you're looking to clear something very easily and keep things familiar. But because it's such a time, it takes about anywhere from 30 minutes to the full hour time limit sometimes to complete a floor. It's anywhere from 30 to 50 minutes, I'd say, on average. And there's 5 sets, so it's a bit of a time investment. So the fixed option may not be for you because you might sit around waiting for your friends to show up and it's like, hey, I want to go do this, but they're not here. But that's why you have 2 save files. So you totally can have one save file that's fixed with your friends so you guys can make your own progress together. And then you have another save file where you can do whatever you want. And the final thing to add to that is once you complete floor 50, you have to go to that file and essentially delete it and reset back to level 1 if you want to complete it, if you want to do it again. Now, you lose the items that you got no matter if you did fixed or random, but your gear stats, your weapon and your gear will always remain the same. It'll be consistent throughout every file. So if you play one file and you get to plus 15 on both, and let's say in your other file you only played one floor and you only got to plus 5, you actually the stats are continuous, so they carry over with you and they're constantly leveling up. So when you go back to that other file, you will be the most current stats that you had always. So that's kind of a nice thing.
So yeah, I guess there is something that does carry over for all that effort.
Yep. So you don't have to worry about that.
What's the max it goes to?
So you can get plus 30 for your arm and your gear, and if you do that, you actually get the option to go talk to this nice NPC below us, next to the NPC that lets you into the Palace of the Dead, who will let you exchange your maxed out equipment for an actual PvE weapon of your choice. Just switch to whatever job you want the weapon for, and I'll ask you, would you like it? Now, you can't preview the stats before they give it to you, which is kind of annoying. So you need to go online and just search either the Palace of the Dead weapon or ask someone to link it to you if they already have it, so you can check out the stats. But it is an I-235 weapon, so it is comparable to getting a Nidhogg extreme weapon. And some of them have better stats or more favorable stats for a certain class than the Nidhogg one. Nidhogg drops a crit piety, I believe, White Mage Cane, whereas the Palace of the Dead, drops a crit determ staff. So depends if you're going to be a DPS White Mage, that crit determ is pretty nice. The Scholar book, it has crit on it from the Palace of the Dead, whereas the Nidhogg one doesn't have any crit, so it's boo that. So if you're not clearing A7S anytime soon to get the Gob Dip to upgrade your lore weapon to 240, or you're not clearing A8S anytime soon, and you don't want to go through Nidhogg Extreme for whatever reason, this is another alternative to getting a 235 weapon, which is more than enough for what most people will do in this game.
So I'm really curious now, for all of you guys who have gone in there, how far have you been able to make it? And we'll start with.
I've cleared it a couple of times. It's not that bad.
Not that bad. So yeah. I heard this was supposed to be a challenge. Is it not too easy? Is it?
I wouldn't say it's too easy. It's pretty manageable. It's very much something you can clear with randoms. I think the 2 times I've cleared it, done it with randoms. One of them was a full DPS party of 4 DPS, of which I decided to be the tank because I'm a machinist and better than them. So, but yeah, I mean, it's not that bad. It's pretty doable. First couple of times into the boss fight, the final boss fight on 50 is it's pretty difficult. But once people know the strategies, it's pretty doable.
So, Erren, have you been back in since we went for our little recording?
I actually have not. I don't know. I've been doing other things, so I haven't been back in there. But I do want to. I definitely want to get the weapon just because it looks pretty cool. Maybe this week I'll go back in there, but I've only been up to the 20 floors that we did.
Well, you could always take it easy. Like I went actually back in there and did it solo with Ninja, and I beat the first tier, which I know is pretty easy, but maybe in addition to like the raid scene, you could treat it as a challenging bit of solo content, which is actually something I want to ask Michael again, because I noticed on your Easy Ally stream you were in there with your White Mage solo, and I want to ask you how hard that was and how far did you get? Did you manage to finish anything?
How far did you end up getting?
There have been people who have cleared Palace of the Dead going by themselves as various classes. I've seen apparently an Astrologian cleared it somehow. Mr. Happy cleared it as a monk. He has video proof of all of that. I've seen a tank, one other DPS class and another tank class, 2 tank classes who were able to do it and have video proof. The Astro is just a screenshot of their save file, so I'm a little bit more sus. I don't think they made it up, but like it for a healing class and for everyone in general, it requires a lot of RNG to go your way. For healers, more so because we don't have the DPS output in certain conditions that like regular DPS classes have. And the flip side is tanks have better defensive stuff, but can still do like about the same DPS output as healing classes, sometimes more, depending on what tank class you're going as, especially like warrior. And they have a little bit better survivability. And the issue with healers is it's not, so 1 through 10 is easy for everyone. The challenge is, can you deal with 40 minutes of the goal of 1 through 10 is to get your character to a certain as high as level as possible, because it'll make future parts of the dungeon a little bit more manageable based on how high of a level you can get to. I've personally got into, I think, level 26 or 7. Someone says I got to level 28. I think they must have had the RNG of the gods. Like you want lure traps you want to actually trigger the lure traps to bring in more enemies because it's more experience. So you basically want as many enemies dead as fast as possible, and then you want to leave. For me, for White Mage, using one of the offensive buff items, I think I can beat the boss in just about a minute or less, like just over 50 seconds on White Mage, around whatever level, like mid 20s or higher 20s, I guess, mid 20s. So you basically want to spend as much time grinding for the earlier part, no matter what class you are. Mr. Happy's video, he'd actually do that. He actually only gets to like level 21 and went on, but I think for DPS they have a little bit more leeway and the luxury of having a higher DPS output, that they can kill later enemies a little bit faster. So the problem comes when you get later, like around floors 21 through 30, especially 31 through 40. It just takes so damn long to kill a single enemy as a at least for me as a White Mage. Like it's taking anywhere from 30 to 40 seconds to kill a single enemy, and most of the time enemies are either like right at your level, like the easiest ones, but a majority of the enemies at the start are like 2, 3, sometimes 4 levels higher than you, and it starts to matter a little bit more when you get that high level. So I am stuck right now. I have not been able to beat the floor 40 boss because it has a part where it summons 2 ads, and these 2 bogeys, floating ghosts essentially. And if you do not kill them within a certain time, when the boss does this raid-wide AoE effect that stuns you, his raid-wide AoE then does like a big hit to you that like doesn't kill you if you're topped off, but the ads then do a hit immediately after before you can react, and it's the 1-2 punch will one-shot you, and it's impossible to survive. I have found that the only way it's going to work, so I've not beaten it yet, the only way it's going to work is if I get RNG that's good enough to leave me enough time at the boss with a minimum of 2 rage items, which transform you into a manticore, this like hulking beast, like almost like dragon beast thing with wings. And you can one shot the ads with a punch, so you're like one punch monster. Boom.
Wow.
You burn it at the ad part, kill them, switch back because your punch doesn't do jack. How it works is if enemy gets knocked back by your attack, they get one shot. If they can't get knocked back, it's worthless. Your attack is worthless as that monster. So the boss obviously doesn't get knocked back. You basically kill the 2 enemies, deactivate the effect immediately, go back into your DPS mode.
Well, it still does 500 damage a shot, so I mean that's still probably more than you're gonna do with like even like Stone 2. You'll probably have that.
So at that point you need to have
Stone 3?
Stone 3. You need to be. You're gonna be level 54. If you're below 54,
Stone 3 will do more damage then.
3 rages, just like you're not going to do enough damage to beat the boss in time, especially by the time you get there. What needs to happen from what I've seen, I've done like many, like dozens of attempts of floor 31 through 40. You need to get at least 2 rage items during the floors to help clear them out, and you need to use them in a high density room with a ton of enemies and hopefully trigger a lore trap or 2 and power level yourself. And then you need to have at least 1 or 2 rage items to spare by the end. So you basically, from my experience, you either need to be super lucky and you only get 3 and hold on to 2. You need to hold on to at least 2 for the end, and you need to get at least 1 or 2 through your run of the floors. And if you're even at level 54, I've reached the boss at level 54, you can't beat the DPS check with the ads. 55, you can do it with presence of mind, but because you don't have a size yet, even with an optimal DPS rotation, you're not taking down both ads in time. You'll be very close. But even if you will take down the first time with presence of mind, but presence of mind will not be up for the second set. You will get a second set of ads. You're actually going to get a minimum of 3 sets of ads as a white mage in that fight. I don't know how you can beat it with less than 3 sets of them. You won't have presence of mind up by the second set, and at level 55, you're screwed. You can't do enough DPS output to kill them in time. At level 56, you get a size, and you can bait them together, dot them both up, then and then you don't have to use presence of mind. You can basically dot them both up, and that size hit from them will put you over the edge because it's a pretty nice, especially if it crits. I did make it as level 56 once, and I was able to take out the 2 ads without needing presence of mind. But the third set of ads, I freaked out and I lost. Like I didn't beat the DPS check, and I died there. It was the closest I came. So my recommendation is you somehow make it to that boss. You either need to be level 55 with 3, I would say 2 rages, and you're golden then. And if you make it as level 56, I think you can do it without any rages, but having 1 will probably push you over the edge there. And I think 17% on the boss was the closest I've come. And it's just so frustrating at how bad RNG can screw you over.
Mm-hmm.
And it's taking you the whole hour. It's a struggle as white mage. Like, it's a lot of grinding, and like it's tough. And I've heard 41 through 50 is much easier. Everyone says like it's not too bad because eventually you're going to be close to level 60. The enemies aren't that much higher level than you. It's more of a fair game. The problem is coming up against enemies that are higher level than you, wasting so much time fighting one and whittling them down. It's just, you take so long that they respawn eventually. You need a lot of things to go your way, and it's just incredibly frustrating from white mage. So I'm actually going to start again at some point and try and get higher level, because I'm level 47 going into floors 31 through 40. And his video, Mr. Happy's at level 50. He has a DPS class, so I'm going to see if I can get some better RNG on the set before and try to get to level 49. And I think that might be even level 48 might be enough. So I'm not giving up on it yet, but I'm trying to finish something else in Palace of the Dead, which I don't know if any of you are trying to do, which the one thing we haven't mentioned is when you clear the dungeon, you get this item, pot
The potsherd.
sherd. Yeah, that's
Oh
what I
yeah,
was
tell
looking
me
for.
about that.
With that
I
weird
want to
E
know
in
what
the
that
middle of
is.
it.
Yeah, you exchange them at the NPC below us, who can also give you the weapon. If you get plus 30 on both gear and arm, you can get grade 5 materia for 1 potsherd. For 3 potsherds, you can get a minion. I think there's 2 minions.
Or 2, yeah.
And then for 10, you get a mount. And I'm at 9 right now. So and I'm on floor 31 on a random playthrough right now. So 2 more sets of floors, I'll have my mount. But I did
What's
exchange.
the mount?
It's a secret.
I
Oh,
thought someone below
okay.
us had it.
Hmm.
Oh no, they're gone.
Maybe
Someone
a
below
bit
us
of
had
a
it
spoiler.
earlier.
Perhaps a spoiler, so we'll omit that from the time being.
If you fought the final
That's pretty
boss,
cool,
you might have an idea what it is.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'll definitely have to get around to that because I really like my time with it so far. Even I've had a chance to go in with the party and do it solo. I want to see how far I can get with ninja. I don't know if I know Mike has a ninja. I don't know if you've gone through all the way with it.
Not all the way yet. I've gone through it on monk, and on warrior, and on machinist.
Okay. Well, it should be possible for ninja. I would hope so. We'll see, I guess. But it's actually kind
as
of
ninja. Yeah, go for it.
yeah, ninja tank, right?
It worked in 11, right?
Yeah. In theory, we should be good. But as far as this content goes, I mean, this is completely new for something in Final Fantasy XIV. So I guess they've done these first 50 floors. It seems like they definitely want to do more based on the feedback, and I know that they've done a lot of experimental stuff in the kind of these off patches where they had you guys remember the diadem, which is kind of like a free for all kind of loot exploration fest, and then we had we have the Palace of the Dead in this patch. So it seems like they want to add more. It seems like they'll go up to 200. Depending on the interest in it. They kind of they use the word stretch goal. I think was the idea behind it. That if people are really interested in progressing deeper into harder and harder levels, that they design to maybe 200 of them and release them, in patches over the future. So, are you really excited, for more of this? Do you think that this is kind of do you think this is a meaningful side content to the game? I know coming off Diadem and maybe some of the Gold Saucer attractions, some people thought that maybe some of them weren't as meaningful. Do you think this is a good battle type side content that works?
I mean, it's been a week and it's still pretty active. They haven't done any Diadem got nerfed pretty quickly after it came out, which I think altered the course of its perception among the player base. It wasn't quite the same afterwards and didn't recover. But right now, like what you can get out of it, like for PvE, getting a weapon, it has a mount reward, it has minion rewards. You can get materia out of it for a single completion. So doing one of these a week along with doing your not Void Arc,
Weeping City.
Weeping City, thank you. Doing Weeping City once a week in this, they do it over a few days, then it gets you tomestones as well. It gets you lore, it gets you esoterics. So I mean, it's getting you valuable esoterics, which goes to help the relic grind if you're doing the relic right now. Lore for gear. It just accomplishes a lot of it scratches a bunch of different itches right now. Sort of like what Diadem did, but the nerfing of Diadem, I think, kind of hurt the drive and the link, the wanting to do it, because the reward payout wasn't as good afterwards, and people are like, it's not the same. But also, I think as a single player experience, they definitely need to seriously rethink rebalance the dungeon a little bit. It's just the problem is it's too RNG heavy right now, or they at least need to instill better warnings or safety measures to basically say, if you don't pass this bar by this point, just go back, or just doing a little bit to help relax the reliance on the RNG, because it still requires a decent amount of like patience and strategy and actually execution skill wise, but it's just so heavily reliant on RNG right now that it's borderline sadistic. I think once you get to floor 31 onward, it's like 21 through 30 and 31 through 40 are some of the most ridiculous things I've had to put up with in a video game. And whether it's just adding a little bit more time on the clock, reducing the amount of enemies on the floors in general, or skewing their levels down just a little bit slightly, like they need to make an option. I really hope they focus on making a solo option, not just saying, hey, you can go in solo if you want, but actually tuning it a little bit to be geared towards a solo experience so that it's not a complete nightmare for almost everyone. Like you just get to a point and it clicks with everyone that RNG is going to screw you over. Why would anyone want to do this countless attempts just to get the right one with the right RNG? Like it's so dependent on RNG I'm going to say it's bullshit. So
well, we know like they have some stuff planned for it in the future. Like they still want to encourage like the solo aspect of it. So I believe there's actually going to be like a solo leaderboard where you can see like, hey, here's all the white mages on my server, and here's who's beat it, within, I don't know if it'll be arranged by time or points or what have you, but I think that kind of a thing could definitely drive people to, for the solo aspect, to have bragging rights and say like, I'm the best white mage on the server. I got the best time, that kind of stuff. So I mean, I think that's, one thing that they're going to try to do to enhance like the solo aspect of it. And I'm sure obviously, of course, they're going to take feedback on how this is going. I know we're only a week into it, but it's going to be really interesting to see how over time how the player base is going to treat it. Will you see more solo people? Will you see more parties? As time goes on and maybe like the raid scene moves on to whatever Final Alexander is, are we going to see more of a population that's going in solo or party based? It's going to be interesting to watch how it all plays out, especially with more floors that they'll be adding in the future. And we'll see what rewards come that way. But I'm actually pretty excited to see a really solid, in my opinion, I feel like it's a really cool, solid battle-based content that they've added that doesn't seem to be, obviously, like Michael, you said, there could be balancing tweaks, especially if you're going in solo. One thing I wanted to add real quickly is that I'm curious to see how people use it as like a training simulation for classes and jobs that they haven't leveled to 60 yet. Because
oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Yes, that does happen. If you go in as you're saying if you go in as a level 15 archer, you're eventually going to get beyond level 15 in this dungeon. It's going to give you the abilities you would get in PvE, and you might not have learned them already. So this might be your first experience using these new abilities. So that does happen in here if you go in as a lower level class.
Yeah, I was helping a friend of mine, ours, I guess. Everyone here knows him. Play Machinist for the first time. I was helping Felix learn how to play like Machinist. I was giving him like the rundown because he was messing around with it in Palace of the Dead.
How do you actually play Machinist? I hear it's just pushing random
hit
buttons.
all the buttons.
Erren knows, but who knows? It's a mystery to me.
You push buttons and
damage happens.
Make sure that you keep. Yeah, exactly.
First trick is you use everything for your first opening wildfire, and then use everything on cooldown after that. And then you hold Blood for Blood for your next Hawk's-Eye for your mild fire that comes up next. It's all built around wildfires.
Good. Yeah, I've been trying to put some, like, doing this Yokai Watch thing, and I guess I'll bring that up too. But I've been trying to level Machinist a bit to with the fake grinding and all, and it's just like, to me, like, I just changed to it today, and I'm like, wow, I don't know how to play this class at all.
That was me when I first started playing it.
So I want to, while it's relevant right now, I want to bring it up. There's currently a crossover with Yokai Watch currently in the game, where you can collect minions based on the Yokai Watch anime video games. and what have you. Akihiro Hino, who's the CEO of Level 5, has something of a working friendship with the director of this game, Naoki Yoshida, and throughout their many appearances on live letters, I assume they hatched up this plan to do some sort of crossover. And here we are, and it lasts until October. But you can go and collect minions, and it involves collecting yokai medals, and you can redeem a bunch of cool stuff from that. And so I've been collecting those. Not really sure I'm feeling this kind of crossover stuff, even though I'm willfully participating in it. I know it's definitely a problem, the whole collectionist aspect of it, but not really a fan of like other franchises coming in here. But you know, the yokai, they're so cute that I don't know. I might just suck it up this time.
Some of them are.
Some of them are. I like
Some of them are mangy mutt.
I like Koma-san. I think Koma-san is cute. That's about it.
This event can die in a fire.
Ooh.
It's really the problem with this event.
Please never come back.
It's not about yokai. I think the yokai is fine. I don't care about the brand or whatever. I'm so tired. I'm so tired of Fates. I'm so tired of Fates.
So
I
yeah.
feel like
stop.
the grind that they made for this event is like super unnecessary just for glamour items.
This is a
less
special seasonal type event, and it is involved. I'm telling people now, it isn't as involved as a relic step. I'm not kidding.
Well, yeah, it is.
It's ridiculous. That's if you want everything. Now, you could just do the first quest, getting the minions, some of the minions, and you'd be like, have a nice day. You can walk away from it. But if you want everything from it, there are 2 mounts. The last mount you have to get requires you to not only get all the damn minions, which as we said, you grind fates to get medals by wearing the yokai watch that you get for completing the initial quest. Every single quest fate you complete with the yokai watch drops a medal that you can spend on getting minions. Every minion you buy, every few minions you buy, the price goes up for a new one. So it starts, the first one costs 1, the next one costs 3, then they go up to 7, then I think we go up to 5. I don't know. They go up by an incremental
15
amount.
was the max. But
Yeah.
I'm not too sure. I think I'm on like 9 right now. I'm almost
Then
done with them.
then once you get all of them, you don't need the yokai watch anymore. But what you need to do is bring out a minion and go to this little book that you can open that shows all the minions you got, and it lists 3 different zones under each minion. And if you go to those zones and do fates with the minion out and complete them, you have a chance, not guaranteed, you have a chance. And some people, like one guy in Reddit tried to say a 36% chance, showed all the medallions. I went by, I think it was like closer to 20%, 20, 25%. I think it was a 1 in 4 was my average with how many I did. So I did not have the nice rate. You have like a very low 30%, 33-ish% or lower chance of getting a legendary medal to drop that is themed after the minion you have out. And you have to have the minion out, by the way, to get it. If you get rid of your minion, if you die before the fate ends, you don't get credit because your minion's not out. If I've heard if you mount up too soon before fate ends, it doesn't count. Even though your minion's supposed to technically still be in the memory, it doesn't count. I do know if you spam the minion or the yokai watch to equip it while you're in battle before it ends, before the credit shows up, you can get credit for it that way. So I know you can spam to get it back out in time to get credit, but who knows? It's all wonky and stuff. But anyway, the point is, same thing applies. There's 13 minions and there's 13 weapons. And 13 minions gets you 1 mount. 13 weapons gets you the 2nd mount. And the weapons cost way more than the minions.
Way more.
The last 3 minions
30 each?
are 30 each, which means you have to get 30 medals from 30 fates. And let's say
It's
you even
awful.
had a 30% successor, a 1 in 3, and it held at that, you're doing a minimum of 90 fates for each one of those minions for their weapon. So that's 90, 180, that's 270 fates. Like people are saying they're doing on average around 700 fates to get all the weapons and stuff, anywhere from 700 to 800 fates. You know, there's like achievements for like that took people like the full 2 years. Like there's a complete 5,000 fates I think there's a complete 3,000 and 2,000 and 1,000. Like those took people like anywhere from a year to 2 years present day. And this quest is getting people that achievement. Like no, like this is the most boring thing you could have imagined. It's not even doing instance content. You don't have a variety. And then except for like one zone where these two fates continuously keep spawning after each other, which you should do for your last three. But I mean that even gets mind numbing. You were fighting all these people for fates, and like you have to get gold or silver. So if you're not in a party, good luck. You need to be in a party, unless it's really late at night and no one's doing them. But it's just a nightmare. Like it's like hunt stuff where you miss a fate. Like, oop, I got there too late, missed it. Got to go trek over to this other one. It's not analogous to like you're gonna get to every single fate and complete it. Like you're gonna miss some. There's going to be times where you get to one and it was Zerg before you for the last completion, so it scales fates up in difficulty. So you're trying to solo it, and it's like, yeah, nope, this isn't happening. I'm going to let this fail. It's just so boring.
I've had that happen a couple times.
You make me not want to do it at all. Like, I've been doing the fates just to get the minions, and I still need to get a couple of them, but like just looking at the requirements to get the weapons, I'm like,
they need to nerf this shit. I get that's going till October, but the point isn't supposed to be everyone needs to take until October to get it if you start now. It should be if you jump in like September, you should still have a fair chance at completing the damn event. Like it's like
that's actually a fair point.
If your eyes are bleeding right now from grinding, and you got them out now after a week of nonstop grinding, the average person is going to take like a month minimum. And it's
I'm taking the slow approach to it for sure.
Every single previous seasonal event never took more than like an hour at most. This is bullshit. Like it's just, and for freaking Yokai Watch, get this crap out of here. Like
says the guy in the glowing whisper mount.
Do you even care? Do you even care about like the ending spoiler about who and who talk with each other for your resolution when you get all the weapons?
Wait, there's a story to it?
Yeah, come on,
don't pay attention to this shit.
It's not main story stuff. Come on. The Yokai Watch developer, who's the Aura, and Yoshi P's NPC have a talk with each other about the quest and
stuff. Oh my god.
They have a discussion. Even at one point, I think they make a jab about Savage rating being too difficult or something. And then how long this grind was. I was like, I hate life right now. I hate you both. Like, never do this again.
Please tell me you made a video of this.
I took a screenshot. But you can it's a cutscene. I think you can rewatch it, and you're in perhaps. It's a
but you have to
event.
get there. You
have
to
get there, so I can just play the video again. But
I think we need that on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, we can make that happen
right now.
Like, please die in a fire.
I feel very upset that that's in the game because they obviously just did this to troll us.
You know what's happening at FanFest? I interview Yoshi P. This event is coming up. Unless they nerf this at some point and be like, all right,
I assume it'll be easier. Like probably mid-August, they'll probably tone it down a little bit, and they'll probably make it easier and easier each month.
I think the reason so many people are going so hard at it right now because people are worried no one's going to do this in a month, and it's going to be like a nightmare to do. Like trying to do all the fates by yourself. It's nice when you have it's nice when you have like multiple groups of 8 people. Like even with the fates scaling up, they only scale to so high. They still take like less than a minute to die. It's like this is really quick. This is really quick. You know,
the low level areas they go really fast. Even like with like a million people doing them.
So that's what the number one thing I've seen people say is just they're terrified if they wait too long. There's gonna be a dead event. It's gonna be just the requirements for it just be too insurmountable to do down the line. Like you have to invest even more time than what you're doing now was like the fear.
But at the end of the day, you know, it is still just glamour. You know what I mean? Like
some of it's very ugly.
That's
true end game. True end game.
I mean, that's really the point. Glamour should be like such struggle.
Mm-hmm. I mean, who would have thought, you know, taking a seasonal event with glamour and you know, compiling it with the fun fun of relic grinding. Sounds like a good match, right?
No,
No,
not really.
not really.
In fact, no.
Back it up. Yep. Rethink it,
Uh,
please.
If
Sorry,
we never get a fate grinding event again, it'll be too soon.
I was trying to find a Reddit thread of outrage over the yokai event, just to maybe give you the link. And then I saw a post about new gear for and new GC ranks in 3.4 preview image or something. I was like, ooh,
Yep.
this is more what we need.
And then all of your anger melted away.
We should also
Like-
mention the tank design contest. They had a bunch of the final entries.
Oh
up
yeah,
on the
that's
website
right.
Too, new tank gear, including one that is literally having a bucket over your head, which we're hoping works.
Oh, I hope. I did see some of them.
Pile of trash.
Some of them I was like, why did you think this is? I mean, no offense to the people creating these really beautiful pieces of artwork, inspired by the game, but some of them were like, would a tank really wear this? Maybe this would have been better for like a caster, or some of the designs I really like. So I'm excited to see what wins.
Yeah, there's one that's like, I guess evolved Allegan design that was really cool. I really like that one.
Oh, I remember that one. Yeah, it's not bad. Some of them are really nice. Some of them are not. And some of them are a giant Gubu suit.
Oh, that one was so
We can
cute. The
only hope that
Lollapalooza
one
Gubu
wins.
suit. I would actually like that.
I would wear that. I would wear that.
Oh, me too, and my huge Highlander too. I'd be a real Gubu. You can watch more of our video that you can see in the bottom third here. You can watch more of our deep dungeon delving over at our YouTube channel, and you can also see more of our yokai watch hunting too, as wonderful as it is.
Our fourth for that Palace of the Dead wanted me to commend you on your lack of editing for our Palace of the Dead video.
Oh yeah, we did. Yeah, when we went
She
in.
appreciated that it was very uncut.
Oh yeah, well I mean I thought the chatter was hilarious, and I know you guys probably can't read it in this video, but head on over there and you can read our wonderful banter. I mean, I thought it was worth keeping in, so all good. The magic of editing. So we also have more videos of I Am Setsuna too. I recorded some videos of some post-game stuff. I did record a video of the final boss and ending, so if you have seen it or you want to be spoiled, go ahead and watch it. We've got it at youtube.com/novacrystallis.com. We've also got some stuff on Kingsglaive on the site too. I noticed that we've got a contest going on right now where you can actually win some signed cards by the staff. Definitely check that up. One of them is director Nozoe himself, so director of the movie that is. So definitely hit up our site. All you got to do is comment to be entered to win. There are some rules. Definitely check that out. Big thanks to Andre for making that happen. We also do have his impressions on the first 10 minutes of the movie. Those are live on the site as well. Really interesting. Obviously, if you want to, go in spoiler free, you'd want to avoid, but I read them and I was pretty hyped based on what he wrote. We also have a lot more stuff on novacrystallis.com as far as like upcoming stuff that happened over San Diego Comic-Con. We have new World of Final Fantasy stuff as well. We've got Gamescom coming up, so definitely look forward to all the coverage we're going to be putting out for that too. So with all that mentioned, we're going to go ahead and sign off. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I want to thank Erren, Michael, and Mike for joining us tonight. So long, guys, and see you later.